Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Anybody? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day, hump day, hump day.
Why is this not on there? Display, capture, what? Alright, there we go. Always some kind of technical difficulties. Hey guys, tonight wasn't too bad though. That was pretty, that wasn't too technically difficult. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Glad y'all could make it, whoever's showing up. We're bringing another show to you, bringing the darkness into the light. Welcome back, Franz.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to see you too.
Good to have you back, buddy.
Absolutely. So, where we left off, I had a show to present, right? We lost power, and then we put it off till now. I wound up deciding to jump ahead, and we were talking about America being the true old world, and
I'm here. I just fixing my camera.
all right. We're talking about how America is the true old world, and who the Dananites are, who the tribe of Dan was. And so I have a show I was going to talk more about things I found in books, evidences of America being the true old world, and some of the reasons why. But also reading into Dan, I found the actual book online here. Can we see that? Or no?
Well, we're still on you. You're not presenting.
Okay, so now here we go. Present. We're getting there.
Yeah. It's a process. There we go. It's starting to kick on now.
There we go. All right, so I was trying to find the actual chapter I wanted to present in the next show of the book I was reading that I started the show. I'd talk about the first chapter. It's kind of difficult to hold the book open and try to take shots of it.
Yeah.
So I found chapter 2, but then I was reading it and I came across what I have highlighted here. It's Adscripti Glebo. Adscripti Gleboe. Never heard of it. I wanted to look it up, and not a lot comes up, but it led me to Thucydides. He's a Greek historian, mathematician, and it led me to the statue in front of a parliament building, a government building. And in the back, there was a goddess. I was going to put all this together in my next show, but I have all this up. So I'm just going to run through it quick before I start my slides. So you get, when you look him up, all right, last show we talked about who the Greeks were. So to me, this is a tribe of Dan. And he's a Greek Danite, and all these pictures of this statue in front of this state house capitol building, with the goddess in the background. So I found who she was, and it really is. All right. So these statues are in front of the Austrian Parliament building in Vienna. which is ancient Greece area, and where I was talking about how the Danes are Danes. Austria is Danish, Austria is Germanic, where Danes are traced through. So it's the Austria Athena fountain at the entrance of Austrian Parliament. So it's not just all of our state capitals. This is a global goddess worship thing.
Kind of gives heed to like the theory that this used to be a earth-wide thing,
Absolutely.
like Tartaria kind
of. Absolutely. And that's kind of leading me into Tartaria. Some know it as Tartaria. Others are Moorish. But that's for the future. But I just wanted to point all this out because we've been talking a lot about goddess worship and personifications of governments and people who develop these places, and they're really just beyond a personification. It's literally goddess worship, and we've literally mentioned Athena. And so across the street, not too far away from the Parliament building, there was a Athenaeum Club.
Club Athena.
Exactly what it is. All right. And they pretty much take like the word museum and Athena and mesh it together to create this club. This is the London. I think this is where it started. It's private members in London, founded in 1824. Primarily a club for men and women with intellectual interests, and particularly not exclusive for those who have attained some distinction in science, engineering, literature, or the arts. So not only do you have to be wealthy, royal, but you have to have some distinction, like some college, basically college education in science, engineering, literature, arts, which is all the secret teachings. It's basically a secret club for secret library and secret artifacts, record keeping. And it's global. Again, this is the Parliament building, and inside of the Parliament building, they have a library that's from the Athenaeum Club. This club has Athena on it. It's basically goddess worship, and they have huge, extensive libraries all over, including Boston, New York City, London, Amsterdam. They're everywhere. And it's their private libraries. And here's a picture of this one in London. At the top of this staircase, that's Apollo.
Of course it is.
Yes. I found that just very interesting. I'm reading about dance from a book from 1880s, and I find more Athena.
Right at the top of the stairs in the center of the pillars, right?
Right. You walk. Yeah. Right. You walk up. Let's see if I can blow it up here. If it comes up. I had to actually look it up because it didn't really say much about it. Look at that. Look how old that library is.
Oh man, that's sweet. I
You
need
have
one of
to
those.
be. That's what I mean. I want to. I love books. Let me in this library.
Yeah.
What would we find in this library?
Oh my word. That's like a jackpot of good stuff in there.
And all of these pristine places like Boston, New York, London, all have these libraries. That's what this is for. I forgot this. I actually saw this picture. I read about this picture. Over here on the left, there's the statue in one of the original books. I can't remember who it was. This is the 1813 Parliament. But either way, yes, that Apollo, there's a lot more ideology inside of these statues all around these buildings. But it's another secret society's little clubhouse.
Yeah.
And they've been around for a long time. Again. All right, I'm going to close some of these out. Now we'll get back to the show here. We left off, and before the power ran out,
Yeah.
we're talking about Mr. Technology.
Oh, yeah.
And I introduced you to his boring company.
Yeah.
And we went through the tunnels, the transportation for the Tesla cars in Las Vegas. All right. And somebody in the comments during that show said, mentioned, is he just repurposing tunnels? And that's absolutely plausible.
Yeah, I'm sure he's repurposing some of them, right?
Absolutely. He definitely owns the boring company. There's a handful of those huge boring things, but that is not a crazy, question. How much? I'll show you real quick.
Yeah, let me just tell people. So I am keeping an eye on the chat, you guys. If anybody wants to ask questions of Franz or whatever, I can let him know, because I am keeping an eye on the chat. So feel free to ask.
I tried to as well. I'll answer through here.
Yeah.
But once in a while, I'll glance down and look. But, okay. So I was saying that's absolutely true. There is a whole infrastructure, a vast underground network across our whole country. And this is a place in Kansas City, Missouri, that when I went to visit family, we drove out there, and my wife and I decided to just go for a little joyride and explore. And I found this entrance. And I was like, what? Why is there a tunnel entrance? Where's it going? It's not like I've been in cities where you see the tunnel entrance and you know it's going under the bay or under part of the city.
Yeah.
But this place was a huge facility. So I just, knucklehead as I am, just started driving through this place. And it was like city block after city block. We were in it for 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm just driving around. And I'm driving by bay doors that tractor trailer trucks pull up to.
Oh, my word. Just all underground?
All underground. And this is not blowing up. Let me see if I can. Here we go. See if this blows up any bigger for you. But there was these limestone pillars, and they were the size of a building. You can see them here. Yeah. And that's as far as the eye can see. And every time you took a right or a left, it was the same thing. And then there was just facilities in this place.
That's crazy.
Right. And there was a diamond company. I stopped and looked in the window of a bay door, and this is what I saw. It looked like a medical grade floor in a facility with all these white vans.
That's kind of sketchy, man.
Isn't it? So,
That kind of creeps me out, dude.
dude, this place was huge. And our hotel where we were staying, everything on above this is like the whole northern part of Kansas City is on top. And this is like a model. These are literally like city blocks. And all those little things that at the tip of the cursor is pointing at are those pillars I just showed you pictures of.
Holy lightning.
And this is only one of the many facilities. This thing is connected to other facilities. This is the entrance I randomly saw and decided to enter.
Yeah, in the Bible, it talks about in the end times, people running into the mountains, telling the rocks to fall on them so that God can't get them. You know? This is probably what it's talking about, this kind of stuff.
It literally is. And these facilities are all across the country and are connected by underground highways, like where a tractor trailer drives into and will drive for 2 hours and have coffee stops and diners to go to, and it's all underground. Right? So after 45 minutes, exploring and sticking my nose in places, and my wife was getting nervous, and she's like, "I just want to get out of this mountain." I'm like, "All right, and it's understandable, She's like, "Well, I feel like we're being watched." I'm like, "We completely are."
Yeah.
I've been driving around aimlessly inside of this mountain for an hour. Like, I haven't found the ends of it yet, So I started following exit signs, and it brings us out completely the other side of the city. And I drive out of it, and I still didn't fathom the size of this place until I come out and cross a road crossing, and I cross 4 sets of tracks. And I'm like, wow, we came out by, some part of the railroad, obviously. And as I crossed them and took a right onto the main road, I was driving along all 4 sets of the tracks, and one by one, they took a sharp turn and went into the mountain. Disappeared.
Dang.
The place was bigger than I thought. I had a family member that worked 30 years for the 3-letter agency, just in clerical. But I was telling her and showing her about this, and she was like, "What? You found the cave? Everybody knows inside that there's a secret cave." I'm like, "Yes, I found the cave." And she's like, "How did you not get arrested and escorted?" I'm like, "I saw an entrance, it just said entrance, Subtropolis."
So I went in.
Why not,
Yeah.
And yeah, so this place, what I was driving around on and got lost in for an hour is just the top surface. There are literally elevators that the train can drive on and leave its car, and the car will go down.
Dang, dude, it's got all those flags out there, like the UN.
Those are all the countries that are involved in this major project.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
On our soil, right?
On our soil, yes. Yeah. I don't know if you know, Kansas City is known as the Twin Cities. So you go right across the river, and then you're Missouri, Illinois, I think it is. I can't remember right now, right off the top of my head. I feel like a knucklehead. But on the other side, the Twin City, the other side, there's another facility down there too. And that one is known for the government storing billions of pounds of cheese, tons of it. Cheese. Yeah.
Wait, like the old yellow government blocks like they used to give out back in the day?
Yes, and that's still alive, and they store it in the ground.
Oh my
Not joking, dude. We're exactly where I don't want the government cheese. Don't eat the government cheese saying came from. And yes.
Oh my word.
So basically answering, I can't remember what the name was, but yes, that is very plausible. And, who knows? We're discovering that there may have been the major cities that were already here from a civilization that we just hijacked it from. So maybe these facilities were already here.
Right,
But
we're just building on top of
building on top of it.
old places.
And and I've mentioned about how I rethought those pillars that I pointed out that were like the size of a city block, and they claim it to be limestone. But then we had that discussion about render. You know, they could have basically built those pillars and then rendered it to make it look like they painted some stones. They just carved around those major blocks.
Yeah.
But so this is that book. Atlas Obscura. Let me get presenting again here. Sorry. This is where about the power went off. I brought up Christopher Columbus again and the cruciform building that may or may not hold Christopher Columbus's remains. This huge, huge building in the Dominican Republic.
It's like a step pyramid.
It does too. I think it's like 7 floors. It's crazy. But we'll get into it because it gets confusing. So the quick little story here that the book points out: in 1506, Christopher Columbus died in his mid-50s in Spain, right? And they tell you that his body traveled, and he was buried in Valladolid. Kind of looks like Valhalla. So then he was moved. His son Diego makes me think of that. What I was saying about Dan. Diego just is another name for Dan, and he moved to Seville. So his son Diego moved his body to Seville. Basically, he went back and forth for 15 years. They say that he's in a cathedral of Santa Maria. But there's no proof, right? This is where it mentions that Christopher Columbus was also called Don Colon, and so wasn't his son. But his son wanted such a bigger, extravagant thing for his father, so he had this built. And yeah, it does look like a step pyramid.
Yeah, dude, that's
Yes, and it's 7 floors exactly.
that's how they used to do them back in the day. 7.
Right, and then to me it represents what we've been doing to all the America's pyramids. They got like the steps, right, and we just build on top of them.
Yeah. That's a pretty crazy looking place, man.
And here it is looking at the steps. Yeah, this is insane. It's basically just a hijacked building. They hijack and hide history in it. And this is the view walking up the steps. And this is the inside.
What?
Yeah.
Holy
this is
man.
Inside of this. These are his remains. So we have statues of lions, right? The pillars. This is what his supposed remains are. This statue goes into crazy detail with heraldry, a lot of symbolism. But if you notice, look at all the cameras they have just on this.
That's insane, dude.
On around the walls, yeah.
It's like 8 and 8,
88. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's literally, and look how big. Like these steps look like that's what you walk up, but look in the background at this double door. That's what you walk through, to give you an actual depiction of how small it is.
Wow, dude.
Do you realize? Yeah, it's not. It took me for a loop too when I realized, because I stared at it and tried to get closer up to it, and there's not a lot of close-up details of it. Here's another view.
Holy cow, man, that thing is loaded.
Yeah, and this black box is what is supposedly his remains.
Special Temple of
It looks like Cargonuc.
yeah.
And that's why it gets so crazy how they hide so many different, because they claim them to be Spain, uh, Italian, a little French, and then they make it cursive.
Yeah. That place is nuts, dude. That looks like a Freemasonic temple, man.
It definitely does. So, and they definitely build the roads and the parking lots and the huge walkway.
Yeah, I was like just noticing that, dude. It goes all the way down there.
A giant cross.
Wow. I wonder what direction it's facing.
You know, I wondered that too. And unless I go to Google Maps and actually figure out which way it is, yeah. But then after you get your cardinal, north or south or which way it's facing, you have to think of what we're really facing. But I'm sure it's.
What
I'm sure I bet it correlates with the sun.
What's the name of that place?
Let's go back. Instead of slipping through the slides, I'll just jump back. The Columbus Lighthouse.
All right, I'm gonna look it up real quick on Google Maps while you're talking.
It's Santo Domingo Estate.
Columbus.
Sorry, it's jumping around on me.
You said, oh, Lighthouse.
I
put White House. Okay, let's go.
It's the lighthouse. Is in the Sans Sushi part of Santo Domingo,
All right.
near the cruise terminal. So I just realized what we're looking at in the center of that cross on the top of the building is the flame. That's why they consider it the lighthouse, and it's near the cruise. Do you see it now?
Oh, yeah. What is
up
that?
top?
That looks like a torch.
That's what it's got to be.
So it faces, so the long spire faces west. So, yeah, that spire going off to the left there with the long path, that's going to the west, and out front here where those people were walking up, that's the east side. So the two edges are like north and south.
So the sun pretty much goes through the middle of it, theoretically.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So now that would explain the lighthouse theory, right?
Right, and I mean, you can see. Let me blow it up again. You can see a tiny little portion of the water up here after the city, and apparently there's some cruise terminal. So, yeah.
I'll bet you on the solstices, dude.
I bet.
That it shines into the building on those slits and lights that top thing up, I'll bet you.
Because, I mean, with all the pictures, they all were regurgitated the same. I couldn't get different angles. But, and in the search of trying to get more pictures, this place kept coming up. This is in Spain. That's that Santa Maria.
Yeah.
And there's the double-headed phoenix.
Yeah.
And then we have the two pillars down here on the right with the snake around it. There's the phoenix, double-headed phoenix, Phoenician, Dananite.
Look at those archways, dude. Like, nobody would do that nowadays.
Nobody does that. They haven't for 100 years, over 100 years.
Yeah.
All right, this is the inside of that place.
Wow.
Remember your video on the
On the
ceilings?
ceilings? Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
dude.
There you go. And there's your black and white checkered Masonic, right? And it
Yeah.
leads right up to this altar that is built on top of the original altar that was in the church. I couldn't get much on that either. But what it is a duplicate. We're not back at the lighthouse. We're still in this church.
Oh, so this is like a copy of the lighthouse?
Yes, because now this is in Spain, and the Spaniards claim that Columbus is right there in this one. Exact same
This
thing.
has got to be some kind of spell, man.
Dude, isn't it? All right, so I had to look because I kept looking at this picture and seeing the ceiling and the pillars, and I'm like, they're not showing up in some other ones. Why? I literally had to find pictures that would show me the checkered floor or the stone ceiling, because they would mesh them together and confuse them.
Yeah. Wow.
It's so
That's
just
crazy.
each place. Yeah, it's exactly the same. But and if you look, there's a handrail right here.
Yeah.
We're actually on the second floor, and looking at the central part of it. There's another.
So it goes down.
It goes further down into the building. Yeah.
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 So it's
The
pretty
church
much
and
it's really big too. That one.
It is huge. It really is. Yeah. So the Church of the Covenant, Los Dominicos of the colony city of Santo Domenico. So this church comes up and claims that they too have reserved the remains. He was here, he was there, he was in Spain. So your guess is good as mine. More evidence of what I was saying, that if he was a real person, who knows who he really was and where he really is, because the personification of Columbus is everywhere. You can find evidence of him everywhere, but there's no actual physical proof. And this is the one place that the UNESCO was, a World Heritage Site. And they also say it was the headquarters of the first University of Americas. And while I was getting into this, looking into exactly the World Heritage Sites, right, the whole city is, and it's called Montecero de San Francisco, which was originally called, and it's in Santo Domenico. It's the old church. It's the old monastery. It was built between 1508, which when Columbus died, and 1560. But look at the pictures and the ruins of it. It's much older than the other buildings that they had built. It's where the name San Francisco comes from. From the Franciscans. And they were a Catholic. They claimed to be Christian religious order within the Catholic Church, founded in 1209 by the Italian Catholic friar Francis. So anybody who followed them were Franciscans.
Yeah.
All right. So that's about where I ended it with Columbus. All right. So this was another article in Atlas Obscura. Just a page over from the Christopher Columbus, and it goes right along with what we've been talking about as America.
What are we looking at there, dude?
All right. So this is the city of Copan. It's in Honduras. It's a Mayan civilization. They say it's over 400 years old.
So that's some weird looking statue. I'm not just like seeing things.
No, this is a weird statue with a weird staircase. All right.
Yeah.
So this went right along with the stolen history too. I mean, everything is basically, but I found similarities in the one page over from Christopher Columbus, who had everything to do with what we've been talking about, and this, because they're giving you this narrative, even in this book. But it gives you the names of the people who went there, researchers, because of the hieroglyphs. Okay, so this Kopan city, this temple here, is like the King's List. Each flight of stairs is dedicated to a king. This is like the only other King's List supposed to them. And well, I can't remember the name of that. I was showing you the black hairless, the Mexican dog, and Quetzalcoatl's twin brother.
Anubis.
This is the statue of him.
Kukulkan or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's what I was. That's what I was wondering, because I was like trying to figure out what it was exactly, but it kind of was looking like one of those statues.
it really is, completely, and they're paying homage to him and supposedly having this King's List. And then it was just a lot of blurred lines and didn't make sense. Okay, so when I started digging into it, the staircase, the picture you saw, this is what it looks like from the inside. Like when you're on the inside, it's actually like a sun temple.
Underground?
Underground, right. So some of these Mayan pyramids that you see with like a tree growing out of it is a tree growing out of a temple built inside of the pyramid for Quetzalcoatl or his twin brother. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a shrine, also like a mosque or whatever you would want to call it. And really, in their beliefs is they'll plant a tree on top of where their great king or whoever died, the king was, and his spirit goes into the tree. But this is supposed to be an X-rated artist depiction of what that is, based off of the first archaeologists who found the place.
Kind of reminds me of like Alien versus Predator. When they go underground and it's like those pyramids down there and stuff.
Right. So the altar on the inside, you can see on the bottom, it's called altar Q. Over the Jaguar crypt is what they call it. They were calling it. And inside of altar Q,
of course it's altar Q.
The Jaguar. Well, yeah. The Jaguar in like Egyptian times, Jaguar became like a puma or a panther, which was also hijacked because that wasn't native to the original true world, the Americas. Jaguar was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so they named it Jaguar Crypt, and going up those stairs is the King's List. They put every block, and here them they were building on top of an older civilization. This is the same place. Can you see there's like 3 different civilizations here.
Yeah, you can see the bottom is like a bunch of skulls.
There's skulls with these huge megalithic floor on it. And then to the side, these pillars are like the second civilization. And then these green blocks.
Yeah.
Right, so that same thing happened with the King's List. And I don't think it was like, okay, we're thinking 1,000 years, 2,000 years of the older Mayan civilization that built the skulls, right? And then there was just abandonment, and another 1,000 years went by, and another civilization that just picked up where they left off, built on top of them. It was Eurasia, our controllers. Okay, so here's an actual picture of the King's List staircase. Each block is a letter. There's that statue. But the statue has changed, and so hasn't the staircase. Here's what they originally found. They created the King's List. Here's the architecture sitting in front of the first statue I showed you. This is Gordon next to the figure seated on the throne of the hieroglyphic stairway in 1900. They wrote the King's List, the Mayans' King's List, in that staircase. And this is the actual outside of it in this little building. Right? So when you look it up on the maps, every blue dot here is a pyramid. It was a huge, huge city. And they were making it look like multiple civilizations built on top of each other, and hieroglyphic wrote on stone blocks, building a staircase of King's List of their history. They may have. We just took them all down in like Tetris blocks to back together to say something else.
So weird, dude. They just love to fabricate stuff.
Everything. Which leads me into the book that I've been pulling a lot of facts, and I want to point out some of these chapters that talk about ancient America. And a lot of these books give definitive proof or evidences of global travels and global trade coming from America to the rest of the world. But they're not really looking at it as, this book doesn't a lot either talk about it being the true old world. It just tries to point out pre-Columbia, Christopher Columbus, which to me is a complete fabricated personification. So that is the personification history right over of what they really did. And in this context, I want to point out a few of the things that show evidences of everything and everybody came out of the true old world, the Americas. And in this chapter, it talks about drugs, tobacco, cocoa, and marijuana, which I admit are some subjects probably, don't talk about drugs and marijuana a lot here. But this points out that tobacco and the cocoa plant, they're both natives to the Americas. Some claim that even here it says the cannabis sativa plant was a native to Middle East, but we also are believed that the poppy is native to Middle East, but it's not. All right. So this chapter goes on to say that it was these exports from the true old world were in Egypt because they were finding chemical traces in the mummies all over Egypt, Sierra, whatever it is. But so it wasn't like a one-time thing either. They're finding that women, children, kings, workers, they used all of these things. Like they chew on the cocoa leaf, they would smoke the tobacco. There was studies on 60 to 70 mummies.
I was just reading it.
The book?
Yeah, I was just reading that last paragraph about how the mummies were like smoking weed and stuff.
Yeah. They point out that not only is it in almost every mummy they tested, but there's long-term use.
Wow.
In 20 of the mummies, researchers discovered the chemicals to be which THC breaks down upon ingestion. Right? And these mummies date back to 15 CE to 1500 CE.
In Peru. Yeah.
But these researchers are studying ancient Indian and Chinese peoples have found metabolized nicotine in the bodies, meaning their body, it was in their system. They've used it so much that they're in their metabolic their body is digesting it and breaking it down. It's in everywhere.
Right.
And they say it's just in many pre-Columbian populations. Although there are remote possibilities that another plant may have been responsible for the buildup of the metabolized chemicals from tobacco, but it's not likely. And they say the same thing about the cocoa leaf and the marijuana. Marijuana is postulated to have been brought over to the Americas and trade for other plants, animals, and products. The discovery of metabolically processed chemicals in the Peruvian mummies, enough to indicate substandard use, allows researchers to infer an active to robust trade between the Americas and the Mediterranean basin and the Middle East. So this was during Pharaoh Ramses II in 1303 BCE. It's indicating that these things were used medicinally and throughout commonly amongst everybody. And here is this is called Datura, is a genus of 9 species, a highly poisonous vesipertine flowering plant belonging to the nightshade family Solanaceae. Yeah. It's a widespread annual plant containing atropine, hysomin, and basically these are chemicals that will make antibiotics, or you can use them in the wrong way and they can poison your nervous system and hallucinogenic.
This hallucinogenic antibiotic.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Well, I mean, it's like penicillin. Penicillin is mold.
Yeah.
But this flower is indigenous to the Americas. And when I say Americas, I don't mean just Peru, Central America, Mexico. It like Utah, Colorado, Grand Canyon area. Yeah.
Yeah. California.
Right.
Lots of this stuff grows well over there.
The Mexican or prickly poppy is indigenous and native to the Americas. And it's very common in India now and considered a natural wild weed. The introduction of this weed, however, is easy to date and traditionally been used in medical treatments and as part of funeral ceremonies, along with that flower, the other flower I just showed you. In earlier subcontinent Indian societies, charred seeds of this plant have been found in India, accurately dated to 1300 to 800 BCE and 1100 BCE to 1060 BCE. So they char them for medicinal treatments, traditional and cremating dead. So there's a transoceanic diffusion. This is proof of it. That so much original, things that may have been over there and that were archaeologists are digging up proofs of this or finding the chemicals in mummies, and they really have come from here, along with many other things. Here's the prickly poppy.
That'll just go to prove like that back in Solomon's day, like they were coming here.
That is exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bringing all kinds of stuff back on their little 3-year voyages.
Or were they coming from here to over there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way I see it more. They were the Danites. The Danites would purposely go somewhere else and set up a trading post for them to trade with. And the prickly poppy here, it says that it was external uses and internal remedies. It could be used. It's purgative as a treatment for chest pains and asthma, curative for bad blood, fading liver, fevers, and bad breath. So these people were using these things for not only just ceremonies, but they were using them. They had a huge knowledge of what they could use them for, and they originated from the Americas. So, amaranthine. This one gets me too. It's a grain. It's a flowery grain, and it's native to the Americas. And it's a vast region. The same species grown stretches from eastern China to the Himalayas, and all the way to Persia, ancient Persia, which this is now Iran. The vast amount of grain amaranth grown across the southern Asian region supports the suggestion that the genius has been there since very earlier times. Okay, so it's native to the Americas, but it's almost been in China since the beginning of China. This is what it is. It's a nutritious, gluten-free grain that provides plenty of fiber, protein, and micronutrients. It has also been associated with a number of health benefits, including reduced inflammation, lower cholesterol levels, and increased weight loss. They had knowledge of what was really good for you and what wasn't.
Yeah, it's only like, the today's scholars who try to tell us that people were idiots back in the day and that they were all cavemen and they have no idea, dude. They were probably smarter than we are.
They absolutely are, and they hide it from you. And this one grain, you hear about, it's a gluten-free. I never heard of gluten until 5-10 years ago when people started becoming gluten allergic, and it's not a gluten allergy they're having.
Yeah.
Our bodies are not supposed to have gluten, period. They figured this out and they gravitated towards spreading this gluten-free grain across the world because it's the healthiest one for you. But to prove that they cover that up and they don't want you knowing these things, they don't want you to catch on to the fact that their man-made laboratory gluten grain is just shutting your body down and you can't process it. It's not an allergy. Your body is rejecting it. So
our Food and Drug Administration is trying to destroy us.
Oh yeah, it's right here, like right underneath there. This amaranth grain is banned in the U.S.
Says it's a carcinogen.
It claims it to be a carcinogen.
That's stupid.
But yet every dye that is in your Mountain Dew is outlawed in 7 other countries.
It's fine to have that, with 50 teaspoons of sugar, and that's okay.
When they create a chemical to put in the product so your body doesn't naturally reject and try to throw up the 80 grams of sugar you cannot digest, then there's a reason why you shouldn't be trying to shove 80 grams of sugar into your body.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's continue. While I was looking up this grain, I also found this other secret Masonic affiliated organization.
Oh my goodness.
The Order of the Amaranth.
Wow.
It was for Masons and their ladies.
The ladies are allowed in this one.
Right? And it was founded in 1873 as in the Order of the Eastern Star.
Yeah.
You got to be at least 18 and a Master Mason. And the woman must be related to a Master Mason as a wife, mother, daughter, widow, sister, niece, aunt, etc. They also are the ones who started that other organization I told you about a while ago, the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Job's daughters. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it gets worse.
You've seen that, like, Eastern Star, right? If you just say Easter, right?
And yeah. So here, a lot of protein sources came from America as well and spread across the world. Peanut, is originated, to the Americas.
Yeah.
They find peanuts and peanut shell in Chinese tombs and radiocarbon date them and find out that they're from 2000 BCE, 800 CE.
So this really breaks down the narrative.
It really does. Just these
alone really tells you that our history is absolute poppycock.
100%, and it's in reverse, a little scrambled, and then put in a different reverse.
Yeah.
and these people weren't stupid. I mean, it wasn't like transporting a can of processed and packaged kidney beans or lima beans or a jar of peanuts. These things could maintain for, they didn't go bad right away, or they had such knowledge of them, right? These Danite Phoenicians knew well enough to take the seeds, not the actual fruit or nut or leaf. That's why back then basil is native to America, and that was such pirates would rob ships if they had basil because it was such a high sought after commodity, and it was so lightweight you could put a ton of it. They were thinking way ahead of so many things. This book also talks about how the mariners of Americas, Egyptians would bring their boats over, the Phoenicians would bring their boats over, or the Vikings. We had certain places of Northern America that would have a certain tar, and they did a certain process to making the bottom of the boat waterproof. So when they were here to trade goods for their peanuts and marijuana and kidney beans and poppy seeds, they were getting their boat worked on and better waterproof than it could be done anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, they had a serious system back then.
They knew what they were doing. It wasn't like, let's just jump in this boat and go find somebody who float around for months on end. Maybe we'll find somebody to trade some weed to.
That's how they try to make us think with Columbus. They're like,
he was
just floating aimlessly and just ran into the country.
Well, they damn well knew, and they may have been a part of the original ones who set off, because these mariners didn't just go explore. They'd left with a primary mission to go set up a trading post, to create a need for a product they knew they could ship to there.
Yeah.
Hijack and amalgamate who they were with whoever they found. Right? But stay on track with what I wanted to show here. This is another chapter in the same book. An ancient American or Mexican pyramids liquid mercury. In November 2014, large quantities of mercury were discovered in a chamber 60 feet beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent,
Quetzalcoatl,
which is located 30 miles outside of Mexico City. It's supposedly the third largest structure in Titicaca, which is Mexico City. This place was big enough, estimated to have 100,000 residents. And they called the place where gods became men.
Wow, dude.
So underneath, there's on each terrace of the 6-level step pyramid outside edges of sculptures' heads of the feathered serpent. But inside of it, 60 feet down, is this chamber with a ton of liquid mercury. They found like a little canal, I guess, or what you call, where they had the mercury in it. So the mercury would run around this little stream or shelf around the hole inside, and it's the liquid mercury has electric properties.
So it would carry a current.
And
So this is like some kind of electricity.
correct. That is what I'm getting to.
Wow.
So it's this is also known as the pyramid of the sun. It's this in the cross section indicating that internal passageway for liquid mercury. When created with the right chemical and charged with the right amount of electrical currency, the mercury itself would not only carry the currency or the current, it would glow itself. So it would kind of be not only the conductor, but also the light bulb. It would illuminate.
Dude. These people knew what was up, man.
Yes. It was like a tandem power.
They had technology we couldn't even imagine.
Oh. Absolutely. And that's like what I'm trying to show here. And it brought me into finding some of these things about how you would store these things, store energy or power. And then I found some of these from 2020. Distinct red hue bricks could utilize their chemical formula to store enough electricity to power devices. Researchers filled the bricks pores with nanofibers that can store an electrical charge. However, the technology is only capable of charging a small light and not yet capable of large-scale electricity storage. So they basically took an existing brick that you build with, put some liquid mercury in its pores, and they could charge it. So it would be a small light, or it would have the electricity storage to store a light.
And if you have these bricks with these nanofibers and you have mercury flowing through them all the time, you have constant light.
Constant, and without needing a battery or a power source.
That's insane. That's awesome.
And now imagine this thing built out of these bricks that are 3 acres huge.
Right.
It'd be pitch black with no moon during that time of the month, but this huge pyramid would glow
up. Yeah.
like our cities.
That's crazy.
So red bricks as energy storage units. And it really doesn't take these nanofibers. That was, type of let's put in this futuristic technology into it. So red bricks, some of the world's cheapest and most familiar building materials, can be converted into energy storage units. This implementation of future technology is an efficient way to store energy, as per a paper in Nature Communications.
Like how they say, of future technology.
Of future technologies. We can't do that right now.
Yeah, nobody knew that back in the day, man.
No, they definitely didn't know it back then either. That mercury must have been some kind of, it was a makeup chamber.
People swam in there. It was crazy. They were nuts. They didn't know about it.
But yet we still have, goddess statues that represents all these same people.
Man. The narrators of our history think we're so dumb.
Well, they do, we for a long time have given many reasons to think so,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Left, no, right. Football, no, baseball.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, so then that got me curious. I'm like, well, bricks, what is it made out of? Different rocks. So I know like granite has a certain frequency, marble has a certain frequency. Some will attract gamma rays, some will shield you from gamma rays. So if you can do that with a brick, can we do this with mountains, with stones? So I started looking, and this is a little bit what I found. The studies that investigated rocks in their natural environment have hinted that rocks buried in shallow layers of Earth's crust, heated there naturally, can become magnetized.
Yeah, oh, like hematite, yeah.
Yes, but they're basically saying any stone.
Yeah.
The new lab tests provide a stronger evidence that such magnetization occurs naturally. So granite, you could take red granite and make a magnet. It's a lower magnetic susceptibility and magnetic intensity.
Yeah, granite is like heavy in quartz, and that definitely holds energy.
Okay, so now red granite is also sandstone, older sandstone.
Yeah.
So the mercury running through these red granite sandstone facilities, like we just said, they could be chemically, they could be magnetized, lit up. They had a completely different evolution, if you would, say, of electricity and understanding of it than what we comprehend, because we don't even understand how electricity works, not even our form of electricity.
And if you want to be like completely honest, their energy was renewable.
Was renewable, and it was from the natural things. They knew that naturally huge mountains could be magnetized because of whatever, that there was a natural magnetism or electrical magnetic field.
Right.
They harnessed it. They used it in a way where it wasn't creating waste or anything harmful.
Right. They knew what was up, man.
Now this one's pretty cool too. Who were the oil tycoons of pre-Columbia, Pennsylvania?
Wait a minute. Wait
Yes.
a minute.
You guessed it, dude.
How do you get pre-Columbia in Pennsylvania? Didn't Columbus discover America?
No.
Where'd Pennsylvania come from?
Well, it goes along with what we know about our oils too. Lamp oil, heating oil, car oil, and where we have to go get into wars with overseas, right?
Yeah.
To get this oil. Literally thousands of pits excavated by unknown human hands, used in mine oil many hundreds, perhaps thousands of years ago. Spread some 20 miles across Pennsylvania's Oil Creek Valley. These are natural pits. Right? And so they go from Pennsylvania into Ohio. Right? And some of these places they were harvesting, excavating oil up to 1859. Colonial Edwin Lurentine Drake was historically the first man to successfully drill for oil by sinking his premier well in the middle of one of his primeval wells. Meaning he found some new way to just sink a well or make his well different. Of this ancient pit in Pennsylvania he found.
Yeah, from thousands of years ago.
But they're from thousands of years ago. So basically this oil water will seep into a pit, a naturally 20-foot pit into the ground, and would fill up. And you can go collect the oil that's naturally separated from the water.
Yeah.
And you can fuel your lanterns, your lights. All right.
Man, this book is destroying the narrative.
So, like the Oil Creek Pyramid in Venango County's Council Pit did not survive the 19th century. Why? Because of Columbus and everybody discovering stuff here.
We got to destroy all the evidence, and we got to make this new stuff and charge people tons of money. And
so around these oil pits, there's faded rock art depicting sailing ships closely resembling European Bronze Age vessels, aka Dananite Phoenicians.
yeah.
Right. So this was documented. Said although the documentary evidence clearly establishes that the Seneca collected and used petroleum for the oil springs, there is surprisingly no oral tradition of this phenomenon, according to the Seneca ethnographer Elizabeth Tooker. So there's no oral tradition. No native around here talked about it. But the implications that Native Americans were actively extracting petroleum as early as the late Woodland, 100 CE to 500. There are too striking of evidences to date. There are no known references of oil or oil residue found in any local or regional archaeological context. And they've known this whole time.
Right, they did a good job at burying all this information.
So, all right. So, what did I just say about them trading tobacco, cocoa, marijuana, beans, poppy? They weren't bringing oil too. They weren't bringing petroleum over there. Yeah. So, did Pennsylvania crude oil light the homes and streets of ancient Old World? There's more than 2,000 wells sunk by prehistoric oil men in the Keystone State. So that kind of blows up the narrative of why two countries are invading each other and fighting with each other, and why we're being distracted and creating this argument over Pennsylvania pipelines. All this modern oil fighting. Pennsylvania alone produces, listen, a single barrel of oil is 41 gallons. These wells, ancient wells, yielded 15 barrels per season. Each well yielded 15 barrels. A single barrel is 41 gallons. A number multiplied by 15 seasons equals 615 gallons times 2,000 pits. That results in 1,230,000 gallons of petroleum per year.
That's just that one area.
One area of Pennsylvania. That's not counting the coal. So, I mean,
everything's got to be electric.
Everything. Oh, yeah. Stop your car for 45 minutes and charge for $20 so you can get 60 more miles.
Yeah. We're gonna burn all kinds of coal so you can charge your car at night so we can not have greenhouse gases.
You crazy Americans and your stupid ways are killing the earth. We haven't been naturally doing this. 1,230,000 gallons of petroleum per year naturally.
We're gonna boost your carbon footprint with this electric car.
We need to go wipe out half of Africa and start a lithium field.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's literally how stupid it is.
It's so
people
bad.
argue, oh my God, it's global warming. Oh my God. Put sunblock on because we're killing the earth. All right.
Oh,
so there is a vast amount of stones containing several 100,000 cartloads of this pyramid. This is still in Pennsylvania. I'm talking about this. They found pyramids in this area. So many ages have become covered with soil from top to raises noble pine tree roots, which I started to talk about earlier. But the artificial curiosity is on the borders of Oil Creek, a name derived from natural curiosity no less remarkable than foregoing springs, exits on the margin from where there is a constant flow of oil, floating on the surface of the water and running into the creek. So, although the stone pyramid was long ago dismantled for building material, its former proximity to the oil springs indicates a prehistoric relationship between members of a relatively high culture and the local oil collectors.
I love how they say that the pyramid was dismantled for building.
It was dismantled, and we ran out of brick making stones. What can we use? Nothing to see here. No pyramid. Just a Capitol building for Athena.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So the carbon. He's tried to talks about carbon dating the smaller pits from which the time frame of 1,415 to 1,445 years before present was obtained. which would put it about 570, 600 CE. And then it talks about how an European wonder weapon that took field in the battlefield with the Greek, and called the Greek fire. It was like a super flamethrower. It was used by Benzonite warriors against Muslim hoarders advancing on the Eastern Roman Empire. So who did we talk about? Who the Greeks and Romans really were? Right?
No.
So where were they getting the oils to create this flamethrower?
Apparently Pennsylvania, man.
Yes.
At the pyramid.
So it also talks about Romanos II, who also had the Greek fire weapon. Just basically talking about the Byzantine military and the authorities that were talked about and documented in their personal journals and etymology of the Greek fire. But there was no sources of fire or petroleum oils, and what we think is the old world, the ancient world. You know, where did the Greeks get such vast amounts of petroleum to throw it on people to make a flamethrower?
Yeah.
We got a comment here. I'm sorry to get off topic, but it says, have we ever covered the Mississippian era?
Yeah, no, I just wrote it down. I said we can.
So a lot of what we're talking about right now is during those times. And the Mississippian era is also classified as a people, and who have a lot in common with the Phoenicians, the Danites, the Egyptians, and they traveled up the Mississippian River, or as I like to say, down and out, right? Down and out of the Mississippian. They're the ones that did a lot of the mound builders through the Ohio Valley, and a lot of the mounds that I've presented in previous shows. We've just never specifically called it the Mississippian era or the Mississippian people.
There's some strange anomalies too when you overlay the Mississippi with the Nile.
You do, absolutely.
So maybe we can do something like that on the next
We
show.
should.
Yeah.
We should, because I was just I had this crazy thought about, the weather manipulation, right? And how they can create earthquakes. So what
You mean like in Turkey?
Right. But what is going on with the Niles and the Euphrates? Euphrates is actually just, the word doesn't describe a name of a river. It's a word for river. So whatever biblical is talking about the Euphrates could be talking about the Mississippi, because the Euphrates doesn't specify a certain river or a certain location. It just means a river. Off topic, sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna jot that down. Be a good topic. We can tie a lot of these other shows that we've been talking about too.
Yeah.
But yes, a lot of places do call it the Mississippian culture. And what we would know them as, red men with feathers and bow and arrows.
Quetzalcoatl's people.
Right, and that's more about what they are, really.
Yeah.
not Hollywood Indians. And they actually have a lot more. There's bleed through into the Moorish people too, as the Mississippians. All right, so back to these oil pits in Pennsylvania. Okay, so not only is it surprising that Pennsylvania and into Ohio and some of New York had natural oil pits. Right? Pennsylvania statewide summary oil and gas data goes back to 1980. Right? So I found this site that talks about active oil pits in Pennsylvania and gas. So it's not only just oil, but they had natural gas and coal. But this site tracks these active oil pits, and it contains information on 275,758 wells that have been drilled in the state since that time, which is really close to natural number, the number of natural wells.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is ranked number 2 in the U.S.-based barrel of oil equivalent produced in December of 2022. Pennsylvania alone is ranked number 2.
Yeah. But we got to get some from Saudi Arabia.
We have to.
Yeah. Oh, and Ukraine is making it impossible for us to get oil, man.
We should probably just send them money.
Yeah, we should definitely donate everything we have to Ukraine. Some people probably watch us like, what is wrong with these guys?
What are these guys?
What are they talking about? Ukraine is serious.
Oh my God. Those Trump loving Putin people?
Yeah. Putin stole my bread. Sorry.
No, don't be. It's great. It's great. I just wish these people who do think that would just gather up enough bricks so they can figure out how to charge their cars correctly in the cold weather. But if
I had an electric car, I'd be doing that. Here's my idea, okay? I'm just going to throw this out here, man. Since we're talking about electric cars, like, why don't you put an alternator in the wheels? Right?
Wait, so it charges itself?
Yeah, while you're driving.
No.
That makes way too much sense. Because then you could drive across country, you wouldn't even have to charge the thing.
That's stupid.
That's wicked dumb, right?
Wicked. It's almost like, what's that word? Common sense?
Yeah, well, we got to get rid of that stuff, dude.
As much as we got to get rid of the car that can run on water.
Yeah. Well, that's real. That, dude, you have no idea how many clouds that makes, okay?
All right. Well, maybe corn?
Corn, yeah.
So
we'll be having a corn shortage.
So digging into the Pennsylvania oil wells to find out how many that are still active, right? And the site that I found gives you this map, and it's blue right now in this picture, but when you zoom in, you have all these dots will appear. Everything you see in this blue that looks like a turns into oil, green dot, or a red gas dot. So I zoomed in on one area.
Holy
right? So
lightning.
Back here, so this part of Pennsylvania is in between New York and Ohio. And it's that one little tail of Pennsylvania that actually touches the Great Lake, which you can see right here, right? In the Great Lake. So I got the corner, the tail of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Those are active to this day.
Oh my goodness.
And that's just that one section I zoomed in on.
This whole area is on like a super volcano.
And when you go around through Ohio is almost all completely green. It's a lot of these red dots have been transferred to the gas. When you go around the Great Lake and up into Michigan, it too is packed full.
Wow, that's a lot, man.
A lot. We could be selling multiple types of petroleum to other countries. All this fabrication of, we're on our last barrel. We're in the reserve. It's BS. All right. And they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, now they want to get rid of propane.
And they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, because look, after I looked at this map and looked it up, I scrolled down and then there was the section I clicked onto. It's the activity, the stats of the activity. Right? So last year value, the total wells was 275,429. The current year, there's 2,700 200,075. There's more.
There's more.
All right, there's a little bit more. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's on this graph. That's the only thing that went up. Right, and then the next category down, total producing wells. Last year, 73,408. This year, zero. Percentage of wells producing last year, 27%. This year, zero. Active producers, 575. Zero.
And here's the
Total
reason
permit.
for the problem right here.
925 permits, new permits. This year, 82.
Unbelievable.
Average barrel oil earned per well. Per well. Think of all those dots I just showed you on that one little tiny section.
Yeah.
1,549 barrels per well. How many this year? Zero.
That's insane. This is controlled destruction.
So when we're arguing about how many jobs did he destroy killing the pipeline, where are we piping it? We don't need to pipeline from where?
Right.
From Alaska through Canada down to Mexico, from Mexico to where? Because they just shut off. They turned the faucets. They turned them all off. They control it.
That's insane.
And these are natural. This isn't fragging or building one of those things 12 miles out in the ocean.
Right. Big oil rigs.
It isn't billions of pumps out in the desert in Saudi Arabia.
You don't have to ship it overseas or pipe it underwater. Or...
From where we are in New England, we could practically drive an hour and throw a rock and probably hit a natural well.
Yeah, pretty good. You could go down and fill a truck up every day, come back and make a bunch of cash.
I mean, there's no reason for it's the point is this one thing proves that to conquer, they divide, and to control both sides of what they just created in that division is by controlling the narrative and the supplies that they've convinced us we have to have.
Yeah. Yeah, now they're trying to get everybody on electricity and take away our gas stoves.
Yeah.
Right? Now all of a sudden clean energy is dirty. Now you gotta have electricity. Can't have gas because it's clean dirty. But we can run your house on coal, that's fine.
Yeah. That's okay. Don't worry about that.
Well, that looks pretty crazy.
I know how it all
It's just like an
jumps out there like that.
infinite-
So that was that. A few of the proofs that I found.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome stuff, man.
The books I've been reading. More of things that I found to help me believe that America is definitely the old world.
Yeah.
That it was the Fertile Crescent, your Atlantis, your Garden of Eden. Pretty much everything came from here, including man. And the Dananites spread out from here, up and over to Ireland and down and through to Middle East, and created a zigzag trading network, global. And they still control the Huguenots that I've talked about, the House of Stuarts, all the Rosicrucianists,
Yeah.
all the Freemasonry, all the royal blood is Dananites, and they controlled a complete timeline and narrative, and then they complete opposite of what really happened or what really was going on, and they built on top, hijacked, and they're still at it today.
Yep. They've been running Satan's shop for a long time.
Yes, some people know it as Washington D.C., but Satan's shop is definitely Washington and New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't really have an official sign off, but
What? You don't? No. No, man. That was awesome, man. That was good stuff, and hopefully, people can start seeing through the deception and understanding that their history books are no better than toilet paper. You know what I mean? It's all lies, and the stuff you were showing just helps break down that paradigm that they want us to live inside of.
absolutely. And I took a little break from reading and digging. I needed to, but besides the point, I'm gonna continue with these books and proving more of this and talking about the theory of this being the true old world, and my belief in the Danonites are the Freemasons, are the Solomon, and are still in control. But until then, stay vigilant. God bless all of you, and see you in 2 weeks.
All right, buddy. Thanks again. Have a good night. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming by. It's always good to have people tuning in. I know Franz enjoys sharing stuff with everybody, so keep coming back. And in a couple weeks, we will touch base on some more old world stuff. We'll get into the Mississippi and see what else we can dig up and make a good show out of it. So, till next time, you guys, take care and God bless.